Chapter 1. Being a boss requires doing more than everyone else while managing and helping them. The general idea of being a boss is running a big company, doling out instructions, and collecting results. But this is far from the truth. The job comes with many genuine, emotional, and interpersonal interactions. The staff members at your firm aren't just cogs in your money-making machine. Their well-being, mental, physical, and emotional, should also be of concern. Being a boss is about managing a company and its constituent members. To be a good boss, you must first accept that your role comes with the call to lead and be a good fit. But what does it mean to lead? Kim Scott outlines 3 primary functions of a manager in which they can show good leadership: guidance, team building, and results. Guidance refers to the interaction between the boss and the employee post-performance, or simply put, feedback. A leader can provide feedback in 2 forms: praise and criticism. This part of leadership is delicate because there might be adverse responses to the feedback. The trick is to balance both types of feedback to achieve positive reactions and boost workers' performance. Your relationships and your responsibilities reinforce each other positively or negatively, and this dynamic is what drives you forward as a manager, or leaves you dead in the water. Kim Scott. The key is establishing a good relationship with your staff. But how? Relationships make or break you as a manager. The quality of your relationship with those who directly report to you determines your success rate. Since trust is an expensive commodity in the management business, you must strive to establish it among the people you entrust with the running of your business. Managing people is a challenging task because people are different, and one trick won't work for all. This is where being a good boss comes in handy. Kim Scott, a boss herself, takes you through the core responsibilities and values of a true leader. She teaches how to think and elaborates on the emotional background a boss should have to keep their workers happy and motivated. This summary will help you realize what mistakes you might have made or are making while communicating with people and how you can improve your relationships with employees. Chapter 2. Open communication is a vital part of being a boss, and it requires knowledge of how to express yourself in a way that gets the best results. Kim Scott believes that radical candor is a quadrant in a graph of the various forms of guidance, including ruinous empathy, obnoxious aggression, and manipulative insincerity. Radical candor is simply the act of offering both criticism and praise in such a balanced way that it makes the person feel neither worthless nor complacent. It stirs people to work harder, make improvements, and perform better. Imagine that radical candor was the moon, and you proverbially shot for it and missed, while obnoxious aggression is the stars, being the closest substitute for radical candor, even though it is heavily flawed. This guidance approach doles out criticism without caring personally for the recipient and offers praise laden with belittling comments. Even though it produces results in less time, it happens at the cost of losing staff most times due to its toxic nature. Things can only worsen if you stray a little further from obnoxious aggression and find yourself in manipulative insincerity. For example, emotional manipulation and coercion without regard for the person's emotions. You might think you're showing that you care by withholding harsh, honest opinions, but you'd tell the truth if you did care. You're simply telling someone they're great when they're not, just so they can like you. False praise and reserving criticism will only destroy the business you're trying to protect. Lastly, ruinous empathy, an offshoot of manipulative insincerity, happens when bosses have a hard time criticizing underperformance, but condone and encourage it instead. This behavior is the mark of a ruin for a company because it prioritizes being nice over being direct, hence guaranteeing poor performance. Your desire to be liked or seen as nice is unhealthy, and unlike radical candor, will ensure that trust has eroded and the staff is comfortable being lazy. Radical candor doesn't refer to being strict, stern, and opinionated to cause harm to your employees. Radical candor ensures that you remain a valuable guide for workers, an inspiration to improve, and a boost toward positive results. Chapter 3. As a boss, you're not working for just yourself. You are helping the people under you take a step toward their dreams. Kim Scott explains that there are primarily 2 types of people in your employ: the rock star and the superstar. The rock star is a person whose inspiration has peaked and they need little or no pep talk from you. They're comfortable and happy doing their jobs because they found their rhythm. Conversely, the superstar requires massive challenges to force them out of their slumber and bring their great potential to light. When managing a team, you should establish a personal relationship with those who directly report to you. Identify each person's unique qualities and use this information to position them in roles they are suited for. If you apply the same management style to everyone, you'll push some away because they feel underappreciated. Although you expect a superstar to perform like a rock star, they still get left behind when you hand out rewards and promotions because their performance seems inferior. The rock star in your team will always be at the forefront, and you might consider promoting or rewarding them above everyone else. But in truth, the rock star is only flourishing because they fit perfectly in their role. If you switch the role, you'll see a dip in performance. Growth management enables a leader to assess employee performance in relation to motivation by learning what drives them to work harder and better. Do they have a steep or gradual growth curve? Or do they fall in the middle, switching between the two? Whatever the growth style, management must tailor roles and tasks accordingly. You can gauge a person's performance and ambitions when they feel free enough to communicate them to you. Once you have assessed and placed your employees, draw closer to your top performers. Don't make the mistake of thinking they don't need you because they're doing so well lately. They need your guidance even more now that they've hit their stride. When your rock stars perform well, recognize and reward their efforts, but don't promote them to a new role or challenge right away. You'll only cause them to crash fast. If you treat your superstars as rock stars, who continue to roll out new work unsupervised, you'll only have poor results. Superstars will not improve or really do much if they don't feel challenged. So switch it up for them after a big triumph or failure. They won't shy away from new roles. They need just that kind of opportunity to shine. Don't neglect the middle. They need your guidance too, so that they won't feel left out or mediocre. The middle has a rhythm, and it is your role to find it. And lastly, don't be afraid to let go of perpetual underperformers, but make sure that before you do this, you have been radically candid with them, offered guidance, and tried to readjust their focus and roles. Did you know, the middle workers just don't realize their potential in the right field. They could easily be rock stars in another position. Chapter 4. It is not enough to simply tell people what to do. You must learn to put yourself in the equation and work with them. As Kim Scott experienced firsthand, being a successful boss isn't about assigning teams, giving instructions, and letting the results machine run unperturbed. When you have a vision for a project or a new idea, communicate it to the various teams or people involved in a way that they understand. Explain why they must do what you want them to do. You must be a team player, which calls for less distance and more collaboration with the people under your employ. Kim Scott uses Steve Jobs as an example of a leader who always managed to understand how to collaborate with others. But collaborating wasn't a function of his genius, even though he was, in fact, a genius. He succeeded because he encouraged his staff never to let him assume he was right. If something he said or did or intended to do was wrong, it was their job to tell him and convince him. As a boss, you must be willing to collaborate to achieve the best from your team. But how? By cultivating the habits of quiet listening and loud listening. The former refers to taking long moments of silence just to listen, and the latter is the practice of throwing out a provocative statement to incite a response. Just remember, it's imperative to clarify your thoughts to yourself first before you air them to your team. Try to strengthen your awareness of how your style makes your colleagues feel and work on improving that dynamic. Kim Scott. Once you've listened and clarified, you must now seek a debate. A debate here will ensure that you don't rush into an idea that your whole team isn't in agreement with. After bringing most of the team to the decision-making table, there's a chance some will be left out. So now you must persuade them to join the bandwagon. Your team must be part of the decision-making process, or you risk setting up an autocratic system where the staff will feel left out and displeased. As you're raking in the successes of the listen, clarify, debate, decide, persuade technique, you must not get complacent and keep learning to do better with the next project and the next. You must first appeal to the listener's emotions to pass your message across, and then show credibility with humility and expertise as you share your logic with the team. Lastly, you must ensure that you recognize the need to take a break and afford your team the same luxury too in the day-to-day of the job. Chapter 5. Workplace relationships need to be healthy for a business to run smoothly, and so you must put effort into building healthy ones. Establishing relationships with people in the workplace is more complicated than it sounds. The author briefly takes readers through the rigorous yet beneficial ways to build healthy relationships in and out of the workplace. Firstly, you must establish a relationship with yourself. You can't care about others if you don't care about yourself. So, make time to prioritize your well-being. Then you should delegate more tasks and authority so that there's less autonomy in the workplace. You should also create avenues where the staff can socialize outside the workplace, have a few drinks, and have fun. In your bid to foster better relationships, though, you must remember to respect boundaries and build trust using genuine openness, shared values, respect for emotional differences, and personal space. Once you've successfully established the relationship with the staff, especially those who directly report to you, the next step is to offer proper guidance through radical candor and challenge them directly. You must make this activity safe and natural among the people that report to you so that they're comfortable with trashing issues that you overlooked. Because you are a leader, you must lead by example and solicit your staff to offer criticism on an impromptu basis. Accepting spontaneous feedback opens the door to two-way criticism, as you can also appraise the efforts of the staff. But unlike when you ask for public criticism, you must curb your criticism to a private affair and make praise a public show. When you offer guidance, you must do so with humility and a desire to help, never delaying to give necessary guidance when due. Also, try not to personalize your radical candor. Say, "That's wrong," not "you're wrong." Never criticize a person, but the approach to the job or task. You may not be a boss or manager reading this, but fret not. You can also criticize your boss if there's an environment that encourages that and your boss insists on it. If your workplace doesn't allow such, keep your criticism to yourself or find a new boss or job. Talking about discomfort and criticism when it involves gender, male bosses usually have trouble dishing out criticism to female subordinates, and the females shy away from demanding any appraisal. Don't be caught up in gender politics. If your female staff performs poorly, don't refrain from offering criticism. And as a female in a firm, always demand it. Final performance reviews are a welcomed addition, and if you do them correctly, they will give your team the boost to perform better. Shun backstabbing and never encourage gossip. You're a manager, not a monster diplomat. Chapter 6. Not all motivation is cheers and compliments, so you must find the right inspiration for each worker. Each team member has a unique drive, that special thing that inspires them, and it is your job to identify it and use it to the advantage of you both. You can pinpoint that drive by using the 3-question style. Then categorize their life story, dreams, and short-term goals into temporary boxes to project a tailored growth path to help them reach their goals. Reward top performers, rock stars and superstars accordingly. Be fair in your appraisal of tasks completed. Create a solid recruitment process. Outline a detailed job description that aligns with what you want in an employee to avoid hiring misfits. Never be too scared to let go of people who are stuck and continue to underperform. But when you do so, never do it with contempt, and ensure that you set up a follow-up to ensure that they can find new opportunities. Promote those who deserve it and ensure they survive in their new roles. Avoid being a distant manager and try to be present for peer guidance. These are all effective team motivation techniques that, when followed, will ensure you are kick-ass at being a manager. These techniques and tools are useless unless they lead to results, but the desire to get tangible results must ring louder, as it will drive you and your team to keep pushing past the limit of your last success. In this chapter, Kim Scott details a few guidelines to achieve a perfect result-making environment. One-to-one conversations are the boss way to know what's really going on with individual team members regarding their successes and struggles. Staff meetings are avenues to review previous work, appraise the current efforts, proffer updates, and establish techniques for the coming future. Think time and take regular breaks from the thoughts about others. Big debate meetings allow the team to amicably debate without malice and with the mindset of a unified goal at the end. Big decision meetings create an avenue for the team to chip in with decisions that will affect the whole firm. All-hands meetings make you enlist the entire team into the process, persuading the non-believers to join the wave. Kanban is a system where the staff fills in work to be done, work in progress, and work done on a display board where everyone can observe the process. Walk around. Find time to learn from and solve minor problems as you attempt to tackle major ones. Being conscious of culture, the attitude and mindset prevalent in the company will go a long way to either making or marring the company's success trajectory. If the staff is accustomed to slacking, they'll continue to sink lucrative ideas. At its core, radical candor is about achieving results through healthy and productive collaboration. Conclusion. Being a boss is a much more complex and humane concept than Urban Dictionary makes it sound. It involves a lot of honesty, openness, intentional caring, mentoring, guiding, and motivating. It takes much more than a degree from business school, but an actual decision to be a better person and an even better manager. Radical candor is a technique that allows you to combine the most effective methods of communication with the employees to make your work environment more positive and growth encouraging. Your workers have different backgrounds and experiences, requiring you to find a unique approach to each of them. Be a person who is sincerely concerned about a worker's performance, satisfaction with their job, and their opinions on different topics. Make sure that you know whether your employees are stressed or not, because emotional tension negatively affects everyone's performance. It is difficult to maintain professionalism when filled with negative feelings, so you should set up regular meetings where you can talk face-to-face with every person to know how your workers feel. Allow an employee to feel safe with you, and they will open up. The work environment will become a place where the workers have a chance to be themselves, as in real life. However, don't forget about yourself while taking care of others. You don't want to experience emotional exhaustion caused by neglect of your needs. Always take some time during the day to think about yourself. Concentrate on your sensations. Do you feel tense, frustrated, happy, irritated, inspired? Try to find out the reason for these emotions because it will help you handle the situations better in the future. Try this. The next time you're having issues with a member of your team, remember that different types of motivation work for different workers. Take some time to figure out the best method of motivation for each worker and watch them thrive.